Why was Pluto demoted? It had it coming. I mean, come on. Most people who are Pluto lovers don't know the following facts. Ready? Okay. A, more than half of Pluto's volume is ice. If Pluto were where Earth is right now, it would grow a tail because heat from the sun would evaporate that ice. It would have a tail. That's no kind of behavior for a planet. Not only that, Pluto's orbit crosses the orbit of another planet. No other planet does that. You know what does do that? Comets. You know, comets are made of ice. Pluto is not necessarily the biggest thing in its orbit. There are other objects that rival Pluto in size. It does not own its orbital space. In fact, we concluded Pluto was one of the larger objects of a new swath of real estate discovered in the universe called the Kuiper Belt of icy bodies, the Kuiper Belt of comets. So yeah, Pluto's happier there because it's like the king of the comets instead of the puniest planet. How many molecules are there in a glass of water? Ooh, there's bajillions in a glass of water. All I will tell you is that there are more molecules in a glass of water than there are glasses of water in all the world's oceans. Think about that. When you drink that glass of water and those molecules come out of your body in any one of a half dozen ways, those water molecules go back into the environment. There's enough water molecules that came back out of your body to scatter into every other glass that anyone draws from the world's water supply. Given enough time, it gets completely mixed. That means every glass of water you drink, there are molecules that pass through the kidneys of King Henry VIII, Winston Churchill. Pick your favorite historical character. So you want to talk about the oneness of all life on Earth? The water molecules through your system captures that fact. Is intelligent life an evolutionary fluke or an inevitability? Ooh, well, a couple of things. How inevitable could intelligence be if we're the only intelligent life on Earth, and Earth has been around for 4.8 billion years? If it were inevitable, you'd think it would show up more frequently in the tree of life, but it hasn't. So it's not clear how inevitable it is. If aliens came to visit looking for intelligent life, and they arrived 500,000 years ago, that's tiny compared with the history of the Earth. We're not here yet, and they wouldn't find any intelligent life. So it's not clear how inevitable it is. What you don't want, what could likely happen, especially lately, is aliens come to Earth and they go home and report back there's no sign of intelligent life on Earth. When will the universe end? Not in fire, but in ice. And not with a bang, but with a whimper. We are on a one-way expansion trip, never to cease, never to slow. And if dark energy has its way with us, in 10 to the 22 years, the expansion of the universe would have accelerated so rapidly that it would have ripped the very fabric of space and time itself. We call that the Big Rip. I don't even want to know what that looks like. Is teleportation possible? What you'd have to do, you have to be like demolecularized, turn into a beam of energy, and they beam the energy to another location, retaining all the information that is you. Because you kind of lose that information when you convert matter into energy. But you have to somehow retain it and then reassemble your atoms. I'm waiting for the future where we invent wormholes. Then you just step through to the destination. No dematerializing, no reassembling your atoms and putting back the information of all your neurosynapses that makes you in your mind. You just step through the wormhole and you arrive. So teleportation, yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen for the information problem that it poses. Or just warp drives to get to where you're going. That's just warp space. You know how warp drives work? I'm here, and I want to get there, and that takes a long time. So you curve space, and then you jump through that short distance, and then you uncurve it. That's how you can get across the galaxy during the TV commercials. Is there life on Mars? We're looking. It wouldn't be on the surface. There's a high ultraviolet flux from the sun, protected here on Earth by our ozone. No such protection on Mars. Ultraviolet is hazardous to biology. If there's life on Mars, maybe it's in the waters that are beneath the surface, in like an aquifer, something such as that. How does the Earth spin? Everything spins. Everything. Particles, planets, stars, galaxies, everything. When they form from larger gas clouds in the universe. If the gas cloud has any motion at all sideways, no matter how small, as it collapses, that motion grows. It's called the conservation of angular momentum. We all know this. We've all seen it. We've seen it with ice skaters, where they come to make a spin and their arms are outstretched. And as they bring in their arms, what happens? They spin faster and faster and faster. And they can take their arms and put it up above their head so that their arms get even closer to the axis of rotation, and they spin really, really fast. If you want to reverse that, then you just extend your arms back again. So that ending posture, that ending panache at the end of the spin, they have to do that. Otherwise, they keep spinning. So when you see an ice skater do that, just keep that in mind. Everything spins. And when it spins, something has to stop it. And it'll spin forever, basically. Okay. Or when you spin a top or anything there's friction between it and the surface. So it eventually slows down. In space, there's no friction. So we're good. Who is the GOAT of science? Greatest of all time, Isaac Newton. Duh. He's your boy, Isaac Newton. Buried in Westminster Abbey. He discovered the laws of optics, the laws of gravity. Single-handedly invented integral and differential calculus, practically on a dare. Because someone said, Ike, why do the planets orbit in ellipses rather than perfect circles? And I don't know, I'll get back to you. And then he figures out why. And his friend says, well, how did you figure this out? Well, I had to invent calculus to answer that. Well, he did all that by the time he turned 26. Is time travel possible? We are already time traveling into the future, 1 second at a time. The problem, though, is we are prisoners of our own present, forever transitioning between our inaccessible past and our unknowable future. So you will always age at 1 second per second. The question is, what is the rate that you are aging compared to places around you? Because not everyone experiences the same timeline. Not everyone experiences the same rate of progress of time. If you're in a strong gravitational field, time ticks more slowly for you. If you travel fast, time ticks more slowly for you relative to others looking on. So that's all we've got. However, if you can make a wormhole, there's a way to time travel through the wormhole. But we don't have wormholes yet. Stephen Hawking suggested if you go back in time to your own timeline, you might accidentally disrupt your timeline, prevent your parents from meeting, and then you're never born, so you don't exist to go back and disrupt your own timeline. So that's a paradox. So Stephen Hawking said we can't have these paradoxes. So maybe one day we will discover something he called a time travel conjecture, which prevents us from traveling in time, just to avoid that very outcome. So, a favorite subject of science fiction writers, by the way. Prove the Earth is not flat. Prove it? Prove the earth is not flat. Okay. Do you have tall buildings where you are? If you do, and a sight line to the horizon positions people from the ground floor up to the top floor and have someone hanging out in the roof. And all you have to do is, at a sunset, when you have a clear view to the western horizon, have each person looking out the window, when they see the sun set below the horizon, have them raise their hand or shout out. And you will see one by one, in sequence, each person raise their hand until the person does so from the roof. That tells you that the sun is disappearing behind a curved surface. And if Earth were flat, when the sun set below that edge, everyone would raise their hands simultaneously. Or you could look at photos from NASA. What's something about the universe that makes you emotional? All of it. But especially the fact that the ingredients of life itself, hydrogen is in our bodies. That was birthed in the Big Bang. And then we have carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, silicon, iron. Those elements did not come from the Big Bang. They came from stars, forged in their core from thermonuclear fusion. And those stars happen to be the stars that also explode, scattering that enrichment across the galaxy, allowing subsequent generations of stars to have planets, some of which have the right ingredients for life. What is biology but highly complex chemistry? And there's no understanding of chemistry without physics. So all of this comes together. And so these ingredients that comprise us were birthed in stars. It's not just figuratively true, it's literally true that we are stardust. We are alive in the universe, and the universe is alive within us. That is a gift from 20th century astrophysics to modern civilization that borders on the spiritual. That makes me emotional.